what I wasn't expecting to wake up to today. It is James Harden complaining about Daryl Morey. Now, full disclosure, I worked in Philadelphia for years. I have a pretty good understanding of the Sixers organization. When the Sixers hired Daryl Morey, I was against the hire. I think Daryl Morey is it's actually the most overrated executive that there is, not only in the NBA, but in sports. I'm not a fan of Daryl Morey. And my disdain for Daryl Morey is when he celebrated losing when he was with the Rockets. We all remember that dopey tweet when they lost once again to the Warriors, and he's like, yeah, we didn't get the job done, but we won this amount of games up against them, and the rest of the league doesn't even come close to what we were able to do. I thought that was celebrating losing. I thought that was justifying your losing, and that's a loser mentality. And to succeed in sports, you can't have a loser mentality. So I am not a fan of Daryl Morey, but I will say he's right in this regard. And for me to give Daryl Morey a compliment, and for me to be on the side of Daryl Morey, it takes a lot. But James Harden, what he pulled, I guess this was over the weekend when he was in China, and he's talking at a basketball camp or some event, and this is what James Harden had to say about Daryl Morey, who, let me remind you, they have a long-standing relationship going back to Houston, and when most people were saying Daryl Morey should not pursue James Harden to Philadelphia, he found a way to get James Harden out of Brooklyn to Philadelphia, and now their relationship is in shambles. Here's James Harden.
Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of again.
So listen to that. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I'll never be part of an organization that he's running again. James Harden is such a petulant fraud. It is ridiculous. It's the same playbook over and over again with this guy. He does not win. He has a great regular season. He enjoys himself. He goes to way too many strip clubs, way too many buffets, then gets tired with the organization that he's in, and then requests a trade. But for him to stab his buddy, who's been nothing but kind to him, and Daryl Morey in the back, is just flat out ridiculous. James Harden, the Sixers don't owe you anything. You had an opportunity to opt out of your $35+ million contract for this year. You opted into the contract because you knew no other team was going to pay you. So now all of a sudden, when you knew no other team was going to pay you that money, you opt in and you want to trade. And now you're annoyed and you're crying because Daryl Morey's not going to trade you for basically nothing. If you wanted out, you could have got out. You could have tested free agency this summer, and let's see what you would have got. But no team is paying you $35 million, and right now, no one wants to trade for you. So I don't want to hear that James Harden is frustrated, and James Harden is upset, and James Harden feels like he's the victim here. How many teams now has James Harden screwed over? It is ridiculous. And at this stage of his career, the juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore. And James Harden's going to be remembered as a great regular season player, but in the postseason went MIA too many times, and he's also going to be remembered as a royal pain in the ass. Because too many times does this guy just quickly avoid the criticism or avoid pointing the blame and taking accountability. And all this guy does is when there's tough times or he sees something not going the way that he wants it, he finds himself out. Finds a way to get himself out. I'll give him credit. Like, look in Houston. Right, I like to call it the fat suit. And then all of a sudden he gets to Brooklyn and he's in shape. Then he doesn't want to be in Brooklyn anymore. And he finds himself a way to Philadelphia. It's amazing how many teams play this game with James Harden where they go, oh, I now all of a sudden want a piece of James Harden. Why? The guy is lazy. The guy does not put basketball first. And the guy doesn't win a championship. And he's only getting older. Why should you be a sucker? And why should you believe in him again? And look at Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey was a loyal friend, and it blew up in his face because he believed in James Harden so much. And now you have this guy at an event in China saying, Daryl Morey's a liar, and I'll never play for Daryl Morey again. I hope Daryl Morey doesn't trade James Harden. I hope he doesn't, because I want to see the bleep show that happens here. Because say what you want about James Harden, say what you want about Daryl Morey. Those are two guys that don't budge. And if Daryl Morey, and he's even said this, does not get a deal that is in the best interest of the Sixers, he's not going to deal James Harden. And as James Harden, it wouldn't shock me if he's a malcontent. It wouldn't shock me if he doesn't play. But if no one's going to trade for you, is James Harden, with the year left on his contract, going to sit out the entire season? As the kids would say, I'll call cap on that one. But this is just utterly ridiculous. And it takes a lot for me to believe in Daryl Morey and for me to trust in Daryl Morey, but it's not even close here. I will take Daryl Morey right now and be on the side of Daryl Morey than I will be with James Harden.